Welcome back. On Wednesdays, we talk business news in partnership with the Milwaukee Business Journal.
And so, editor-in-chief of the Milwaukee Business Journal, Mark Cass, the
Live
man
and in person.
himself.
I got a rousing welcome from half of you when I got here.
No.
Not from both of you, from one of you. I won't say who, but
We're so happy to
glad
hear
you're in the
you.
building.
glad I'm in the
Yes.
building. Just happy to be here.
Yes,
Mark
nice
Cass.
to see you. So we're going to start with Harley
Yeah,
Davidson.
big story.
CEO Jochen Zeit said on Monday that the Milwaukee manufacturer is talking about repurposing its corporate headquarters, repurposing that iconic location. What on earth could that mean?
You know, really a lot of things have changed. If you think about what's happened over the past couple of years and the number of their employees that are working there, they're a lot less. He's a big believer in working from home, working from wherever you are. So there are fewer people in the building. So I think what he's talking about is what can we use that space for? Really, I don't think we need all this space. Should we lease some of it out? Can we have a community there? Can we do some retail there? Can we do some office there? What can we do there? I don't think they're going to leave the city. I'd be shocked if that happened. But on the other hand, they have a lot of space there that's not really being used. How do you use it? How do you make money from it? How do you make it relevant in this world that we're kind of living in? I mean, a lot of companies are looking at this. If you look at companies on the West Coast, you know, who are not in the office at all, who are shrinking their space. You're seeing it out east in New York. We haven't seen a lot of it in Milwaukee, but this could be significant because you're talking about a large operation right in the heart of the community that has a big impact on the city.
Well, he is an innovator and forward thinker. He was
Right.
at Puma for what, like 20
Right,
years
right.
or something like that.
And he,
so he's
you know,
always thinking
right,
ahead.
His comments are he loves Zoom meetings. I'm shocked. I would never say that. I don't know about you guys, but he apparently likes Zoom meetings. He apparently likes them out and about. He likes them kind of in their homes. I think that's kind of the way we're going. I just can't think it's going to be all their space. I think they're going to always have a presence there. It just could be a smaller presence, and that could really impact that neighborhood. Because you think about them and obviously with Miller there, you have two anchors there.
Right.
And if you shrink one of those anchors, it has a big impact on the neighborhood.
Okay, now to the first news story I read after waking up Monday morning.
Okay.
It was an article on your website, a push by some urbanists in the Milwaukee area to demolish 794, where it runs through downtown Milwaukee, and develop that land. There's some remarkable renderings
There are.
Yeah.
of what it would look like if that vision came to fruition.
And I'm sure there are probably a lot of your viewers, people are saying it'll never happen. Well, a lot of people said that about the other freeway, about the Park East. And think about that now. You know, we don't even think about it now. It's been gone for years. We all drive that way, and it's worked well. Well, here's another opportunity. I mean, is there a chance to do some sort of real estate development there where there's offices, where there's retail? Right now it's a freeway, and you drive through the downtown. You don't stop in the downtown, right? So is that a chance? Obviously, there's an opportunity here because of the work that's needed on the Home Bridge and on that area of the freeway. There's a lot of money that's going to be spent. So now's the time to talk about it. Is there enough of a push for it? There's a lot of it. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but on our site, it's going crazy. Everybody's talking about it online. People have ideas. You know, can you have just a street through there instead of up high?
I used to live in the 3rd Ward.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Me
that
too.
freeway is a barrier.
It is.
Between that. It's a neighborhood everyone wants to be in and the rest of the city. And if you bring those two together, everybody would seem to benefit from that.
But I mean,
Think about going under that freeway right now. Right
Yeah.
now, it's kind of, it's not where you want to hang out. It's kind of the park and stuff. There's nothing there. There's no office. There's no retail. Maybe if it's a flat kind of, there you could have a lot more. I'm sorry, Susan.
No, I was just going to say, we all remember when the Park East Freeway was there, right? It emptied you out onto that Pick and Save store right there. But it took a while once it came down for the development to take place underneath it. But it did. And it is a different neighborhood than what the 3rd Ward is
Dramatically,
now.
but think about what's there now that would never have occurred before. All the stuff along, kind of as you come up through McKinley, and you go right by the arena. Fiserv. Think about now, you'd have to have an off-ramp to get to Fiserv. Think about all that access you have now that you don't have.
Seems like you love the idea.
I wouldn't say I love it. I think you have to say it's intriguing, right?
Yes,
You have to think, let's talk about it, because, everybody thought our former mayor was nuts, right? Clearly he was onto something there because it has worked.
All right, finally, a truly Milwaukee story, Lion's Tail. That new brewery that opened in Wauwatosa, North Avenue over the weekend. They closed on Sunday because they ran out of beer.
How does that happen?
We're in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Susan. I can't believe you're even asking me that question because we're
Well,
in
it's
Milwaukee.
rhetorical.
We're in Wisconsin. It's a new brewery. It's very obviously people were lined up around the block to get in there. They obviously drank them out of beer, which is, come on, now that's just a great story to say out loud. But I think it shows the interest in terms of new brewery. I think it shows the interest in a lot of us who spend a lot of time in our homes for 24 months, who want to get out, who want to interact, who want to try a new place, who want to drink some beer. I think it's great for the city to see that because it's enthusiasm. And, you know, I talk on here a lot about energy, right? Well, in Wauwatosa, for those breweries, there's a lot of energy, and I think that's great for the city.
Well, why did you want to try a lion's tail, right?
But they need more beer. I would just encourage them, put more beer there, because you can't run out of beer on your opening weekend. I don't think that works.
It happens.
It does. You were there. I'm thinking you were in line.
I was not in line. I was at the Sendix next door.
Getting something else.
Yeah, sure you were. Sure you were.
Mark Cass from the Business Journal, live and in person.
Always good.
Editor-in-chief
There we go.
of the Business Journal.
Always good to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.